Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Masixole Jarom. I'm one of the track beneficiaries. Every time I'm asked to actually tell my story, actually sort of become a little bit emotional for me, based on the fact that it's always a little bit hard to reflect on your life as a whole. I'm actually from Utnik, I don't know how many of you are familiar with that region. If you know, there's a specific area there called Jocksville. You know that. Yeah. I'm actually from there. I used to go to Pindubuya Primary School, and then it was Sonke High School. As you know the conditions of that area. There's no need to even go a little bit deeper, but there's actually high unemployment, and there's a lot of crime going on and drugs being used by the youth. I'm actually, it becomes difficult to talk about my situation. Anyway,
I'll say.
I'm actually the eldest of 3 children of a domestic worker, and my father was never part of our lives. So my mother did everything for us until 2006, when she passed away and I was 16 years old. And at that time, I never knew any relatives that were actually supporting her. So basically it was just me and my 2 siblings. I have a brother who is 2 years younger than me, and I have a sister who is 8 years younger than me. So at that time, I was 16 and doing grade 10. When I was doing grade 11, this is when I got introduced to track. At that time I was doing medicine science, and not too many people were actually very positive about doing medicine science, because it's quite, today it's common knowledge that everyone knows that it's a little bit difficult to grasp the concepts. So we had the same challenges also at school. The labs did not have the equipment to actually demonstrate, the teachers to actually demonstrate the practical side of the concepts, especially for physical science. So I met track during that time, which was a difficult time for me because my mother just passed away the last year, and I was in the middle of making a decision whether to carry on with my studies and finish high school, or to just drop out and actually go and do something else to try and feed the family. I don't know if you know Miss Kotela. Miss Kotela was the one that used to come to our school, and one time she was doing a practical, but then after the practical class, she decided to talk to us. And that's the reason why I'm standing here today, because after she did the practical demonstration, she decided to talk. And I just remember one thing, that she locked eyes with me for whatever reasons, and whatever that she was saying made a difference from me carrying on with my studies. That was the first time that I actually got a sense of someone believing in us as the future of the country. That's the first time that I actually heard about NEFSAS. I never heard anything about NEFSAS until that day. No one actually talked about applying and all. We didn't think that far. But that day, that's what happened, and she told us, gave us sort of information about how to apply and what is possible for us. And from that day, I made a decision that I'm going to stick to my dreams. At that time, I didn't even know what was engineering, and I'm in grade 11. So she gave us all that information about engineering and all that. Then I made a choice. I was going to be an engineer. We worked with TRAC throughout grade 11, grade 12, and throughout that relationship, we used to, back then there wasn't mobile labs. It was a little bit difficult because we had to travel from our schools to NNMU, but also that gave us a lot of sense of what we actually want to be, because then when you're there, you are able to walk around the buildings and feel as part of the university. So we used to do that, and I ended up finishing grade 12 with an A in maths and a B in science. And this is from the help that we got from TRAC. Our school was did nothing, so we were able to get all the help there. I was part of the winter schools there. The winter schools at that time, we had the material, the food. I actually went there for the food most of the time. So even when I actually enrolled, I got accepted for mechanical engineering, for a diploma in mechanical engineering in NNMU. In my second week, I had NEFSAS and VW bursary. There's a trust fund that I used to have from VW and NEFSAS. On my second week, because NEFSAS normally pays after 3 months, so from the first month to the third month, you actually have to actually see how you're going to eat and what you're going to do. On my second week, I decided, you know what, this is not for me. Because the situation, I went to raise, and I didn't have the deposit. I only had 200 rand, and deposit was 1.2. And then I didn't have, when I got to res, no one told me that when you go to res, you have to have blankets and all. And I just rocked up, told them it's going to be there. But when I got there, everyone had their own stuff. I didn't have nothing. So that was the second week when I started to attend. So I decided, when it was on Thursday, I decided, no, I'm going to pack my bags. I think I had 15 rand. I'm going to take the train back to Utrecht. And I had actually a test that day. So I went and wrote the test. I failed the test. So I imagine the emotions of not having anything, and then you fail the test. It's just enough to prove to you that you're not part of this. This is not for you. This is for certain people. So after the class, as I was walking down the stairs, I remember there's a lab here where I used to go, and I used to feel very welcomed in that place. So I decided to go there. And I remember there was a lady there who used to work with Ms. Kotela. And they know that's Sugeshatini, so I didn't. And you guys told us that a man does not cry. But that day I did cry. I remember she had a white coat, the lab coats that the guys were wearing, and I cried over there. So I didn't say anything, I just cried. And after that, she made me write an email. I couldn't even type at that time. I'm a good typer now. She typed the email to Sis Beauty. The next day, they brought blankets, pots, everything, cash and all that, and they took that was the first time in my life that I actually felt someone really cared about me, and I was not alone in this journey. And since then, I would just go into the TRAC lab. Actually, Ms. Kotela became more of a counselor, because I was dealing with a lot of things from my family side, and there was a lot of, so she was able to take me through that, and we dealt with a lot. I ended up actually finishing my studies 2012, then I graduated 2013. And then at that time I already was training with the university. I was part of the renewable energy research group when I was when I finished, they actually gave me another contract when I graduated, another year. Then after that, it was 2013. Then 2015, 2014, I actually was employed by Nodex Akiona Energy, one of the German companies that manufacturing wind turbines. So I was one of the first groups that they employed at that time, and I've been working for them ever since. I think I'm 5 years now. Last year I even had a chance to actually go to Germany on top of that, remember I said I had 2 siblings. I think it's also good that I actually tell you about them. When I was going through track and I saw what track did for me, guess what I did? I went and got my brother. He said, you know what, he's also doing medicine science. I said, you know what, get into this. And I called Miss Bill saying, get this guy in. And they actually worked with the whole school. He did the same. I can't remember his symbols, but they were actually extreme good symbols. And he enrolled for electrical engineering at NNMU. And he graduated also.
Wow.
And guess what? He works for the same company that I'm working for. So, and my younger sister, who's a second year now, she's doing a BA in sociology. She stays with me at home with my wife and my kid. And there at work, as someone that was one of the first groups that was there, I'm not just any other Epi Nyana guy. I'm actually in almost, let's say, junior management for now. But I'm actually assisting the lead tech there to run the site, doing all the planning, and that is 32 turbines, that's 80 megawatts. So it's a lot of responsibility. But the issue here is, what are the odds? I'm just a guy, child, born of extreme poverty situation. My mother was a domestic worker. I come from nothing, but I stand here today and I'm giving testimony about something that I also didn't see. I didn't see this much, actually, and I'm still, even today, still overwhelmed about how my actual life turned, and for my brother and for my sister. So that when I was sitting there, I actually saw that education is a social matter, and my story actually is a testimony of that. Because today I walk around, I'm not robbing anyone, I'm not stealing, I have my own money, I work hard, my brother works hard, he has his own stuff. For the guys that are probably in the same shoes that I was some 10 years ago, I think Mr. Ruiso, when you were saying that, grab this opportunity and grab the resources, the people that are here supporting you, believing in you, take that. I cannot say more, just take it and run with it. So the same principle, the same way that you work hard now, carry on. Sometimes it won't seem as if it's bringing fruits, but fruits are coming. I used to, in my first year, I was the first year, so people were not serious as I am because I knew where I come from. I knew if I don't do this, I'd rather do a lot of math than to actually go back where I come from. So I decided to do a lot of that. And I remember I was competing with a third year guy who was doing accounting. And I was like 2 months in my course as a first year. And he was staying across my room. So I told myself that if he is not asleep, I'm not going to sleep. So that guy sleeps around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, because he's on the 3rd year, I was in 1st year. So I made sure that when he switches off his light, then I'll switch off mine. That's how I can't thank TRAC more. I can't thank Eskom more, Department of Education, and all the people that have actually lended a hand on my life, in my brother's life, and all the people that actually benefited from TRAC. Thank you guys. Thank you very much.